Once upon a time in the kingdom of Eloria, King Aldred was beloved by his people. But greed and lust for power corrupted him, and he became a tyrant. If you're new here, subscribe for more amazing tales. Welcome to our channel, where we bring you the best stories from around the world. The turn of the king, King Aldred used to walk among his people, laughing and talking. He was kind, generous, and wise. But when a traveling wizard gifted him a ring of immense magical power, the king changed. His eyes became cold and distant. He grew a thick beard, donned heavy furs, and spent most of his time alone in his tower. Their job was to keep watch over the kingdom and crush any signs of unrest. He started with small, seemingly harmless changes. He increased taxes slightly, confiscated the property of nobles who opposed him, and banned festivals and celebrations. Slowly but surely, the cheerful kingdom of Eloria turned into a somber shell of its former self. Others claimed he'd made a pact with dark forces. Whatever the truth, the joy in Eloria died, replaced by fear. I told them my brother would die if he couldn't stay here. No, child, come with me. Maybe together we can do something. They didn't care, so I cursed them. I said their families would die too. I know they'll come for me soon. Will you spare me? People stopped smiling, laughter turned to whispers, and hope withered like a flower denied sunlight. Aldred built an elite guard force called the Iron Legion, clad in black armor, bearing spears and shields adorned with snarling wolf heads. We'll help you, but we need more people. For decades, he'd shunned society, seeking solace in nature. As he journeyed, he helped travelers, healed animals, and mended fences. While the girl tended to the sick and weak, the old man visited houses, leaving small gifts and words of comfort. At night, he'd tell Alara stories of his youth when life was simpler and people happier. All trembled at his every word, unsure if the king would turn on them in a moment of rage. And wherever he went, people shared tales of the oppressive king and his brutal Iron Legion. The crowd was a motley crew of farmers, laborers, shopkeepers, even a few disillusioned soldiers. He introduced himself as Cyrus, a blacksmith who'd fled the city. We fight for a chance at a better future for Eloria. But he still remembered the merry songs and dances of his youth. They're coming for us. He expanded the Iron Legion, tightened his grip on the city, and ordered spies to monitor his court. Suspicions and fear ran rampant. People avoided each other, fearing they might be overheard discussing rebellion. The horse reared, snorting, as soldiers armed with swords and bows took up positions at the windows. The prophet, the healer, and the blacksmith. They have the support of the people. We must escape. After a while, they spotted the king's abandoned armor and horse. Realizing he'd fled, they grew angry and frustrated. He said urgently, "People are resisting, but they're afraid of the Iron Legion. Please help us." So when word of Aldred's tyranny reached him, he felt a pang of sadness. The people grew impatient and started blaming Elias and Alara for the king's disappearance. Elias, with his calming presence and gentle touch, inspired hope in the downtrodden. If we can't even stand up for ourselves, we might as well die. He climbed onto the town hall balcony. We need new leadership, someone who cares for us, not just rules over us. While the king is gone, Eloria is without a ruler. We must decide how we want to move forward. He's given up the fight, she said. Let's end this peacefully. Taxes were reduced, trade flourished, and festivals returned to the kingdom. Alara, with her youthful zeal and compassion, led relief efforts for the poor and sick. Outside the eastern gate, a large group of townspeople blocked his path. At their front stood Elias, Alara, and Cyrus. She is brave and quick-witted, and I believe she will serve Eloria well as our leader. He spurred his horse forward and charged through the gate. Together, she and Elias led Eloria into a new era of peace, prosperity, and joy. Others claimed he'd found refuge in a distant land. but most believed he'd finally found peace, reunited with his kind in the cold embrace of death. Cyrus organized resistance cells, preparing for a potential uprising. Rumors spread about the king's bizarre behavior. Some said the wizard's gift had driven him insane. A new hope across the Whisperwood, deep in the mountains, lived an old hermit named Elias. He descended from his mountain home and set out for the kingdom. One evening, Elias sat by a campfire outside the village of Oakhaven. A young woman approached cautiously. "Are you here to arrest me?" she asked, startled. "Arrest you? Why would I do that?" "Because I defied the king. When my brother fell ill and the king's tax collectors threatened to take our house, I confronted them." Elias smiled warmly. So the girl, whose name was Alara, joined Elias on his journey to the capital, Silver Creek. The prophet's call. Upon reaching the city, Elias and Alara stayed in a remote inn. One day, a hooded figure entered their inn, his face hidden in the shadows. "The king is planning to demolish this part of town to build a grand palace for himself." Elias listened patiently, then smiled. Over the next few days, Elias, Alara, and Cyrus rallied Silver Creek's residents. Word spread throughout Aloria of the mysterious trio, bringing aid and comfort to the hopeless. Soon, people from neighboring villages sought their help too. The rebellion begins meanwhile. King Alderd grew increasingly paranoid and tyrannical. One evening, Alderd hosted a lavish feast in his fortress, inviting nobles and advisors. But no one enjoyed the sumptuous food or fine wine. Meanwhile, outside the fortress, Elias, Alara, and Cyrus assembled their followers. "We fight not just for ourselves, but for every kind soul the king has banished from his court, every innocent life crushed by his greed, every hopeful heart he's broken," Elias proclaimed. As the crowd roared its approval, Alderd inside the fortress paced anxiously. Suddenly, a guard burst through the doors. "My liege, the city is in an uproar." "They, who is with you?" "A man with flowing white beard, a young woman with fiery hair, and a tall, broad-shouldered man with a hammer." Aldred's eyes widened in recognition. The royal flight Alderd abandoned the feast and raced to his stables. He mounted his destrier and urged it forward. The king rode through the city, his heart pounding in his chest. "Yield, Alderd, and renounce your tyranny," Elias called out. "Never," the king shouted back. The rebels regrouped quickly and pursued Alderd through winding forest paths. But Alara placed a calming hand on Elias's shoulder. Following Alara's advice, the rebels returned to Silver Creek, where King Alderd had disappeared. The new beginning days turned into weeks, yet Alderd was nowhere to be seen. "What's the point of living under a tyrant?" one woman cried. "Enough," Elias boomed. The crowd cheered and settled down. "We can't go on like this anymore," Elias continued. He stepped down from the balcony and walked towards the market square. The people followed, curious and hopeful. "Alara," Elias announced, "has shown kindness and compassion to our sick and needy." The crowd erupted in cheers. Alara, blushing, accepted the position. Farmers tilled their fields, artisans crafted beautiful goods, and merchants traveled freely. The oppressive laws were replaced with fair ones. As for Alderd, he was never seen again. Some said he wandered the forests, a broken man, haunted by his past. And so the people of Aloria rebuilt their lives in their kingdom, learning from their past and embracing the future with hope and gratitude.